Hey everyone, Fez here from CryptoSetups. Today I'm going to take you through RDNT version 2. Now, I'm going to approach this tutorial as if you're a new user to this protocol. So if you've been using it as a V1 user, you'll already know most of the stuff going on here. And there's a fantastic guide to migrate from V1 to V2 that the protocol has taken care of themselves. So make sure you watch that and follow those steps and you'll be fine. But if you're a new user, well, this is the tutorial you're going to watch. I'm going to show you how to use the protocol end to end and show you some of the quirks it has so that you can navigate around it or make the best decision you need to based on how it works. As always, not financial advice. These videos are strictly for educational purposes only. With that said, make sure you like and subscribe to help me out. The other thing I want to quickly call out is I'm going to make some assumptions here that you know how to use MetaMask, you know how to switch networks. RDNT is V2 is on Arbitrum and soon it will launch on Binance Smart Chain. So again, I'm going to show you the current tutorial based on Arbitrum, and I assume you know how to connect the dApps, approve transactions. While I'll show you what steps come, I just assume you know how to do these things, basic functions. So keep that in mind when you're watching this tutorial. Now let's jump in. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is connect your wallet, and you can see I picked Arbitrum. I'm using MetaMask, so I'm going to click web browser here. I am going to give you a quick overview of what you're looking at and all the screens, and then I'm going to show you how to use the borrow and various other functions available to you. So this is the markets page. What we have here is a bit of an alert that you are not entitled to emissions, especially if this is the first time you've jumped on and not done anything on the protocol. I will circle back to this piece and cover it off in a moment. The next part is it shows you what network you're on. So soon when you see Binance Smart Chain, you'll be able to switch there. You can see the total market size. Over here, you can see the total DLP. This is basically, very simply put, the amount of liquidity that has been locked up. This figure also qualifies for fees that get paid out by the protocol. So I will again circle back to this a bit later, the RDNT price. This is the total fees currently being paid out to people who lock up their RDNT token with ETH into a liquidity pool and then lock it on the platform. So, and over here is those fees. This is how much it ends up being at the moment, the APR. And you can see over here when I click on the asset breakdown, those fees are getting paid out in these assets, and this is the percentage that is being paid in each of them, which will tally up to the 227%. Next up is the assets you have in the money market. So over here you can see all the same assets that V1 supported. And obviously when it launches on Binance Smart Chain, there'll be some more there, I assume, particularly with BNB. What is the screen exactly telling you at the moment? It is, you can see that using DAI as an example, you can see if I were to supply DAI, I would earn interest of 1.80%. And if I were to borrow DAI, I would be paying 11%, over 11%, close to 12. Now, under it is the APR you would get paid in RDNT tokens if you were to borrow or deposit or borrow. But with V2, it's a little different. To earn your RDNT token emissions, you need to lock up 5% of your deposits into liquidity over here. And they have enabled you with a ton of tools to make this very easy. So we're going to come back to that. But when you then now looking further, when you click on the arrow button, you can see you got deposit, you got borrow, and you can then loop. Now, very quick description of looping if it's your first time. Essentially, this is a way to supply and borrow and then take what you borrowed and add it to the supply, which gives you more borrowing capacity. And what they've done is made this a very seamless process of basically supplying your initial funds, and it will automatically loop it 4 times, and it's done in one transaction. Now, there are a few little quirks here, which I'll again come back to and revisit and talk through in detail so you know exactly what you're doing, but that's what the loop function enables. And primarily, you will loop with the intent of maximizing your yield in the protocol. That is the goal of looping. So that's very quickly the markets page, and because I clicked on looping, it brought me into its own specific page. But if I go back out, you can see I'm back out here. Now, the next thing is dashboard. This will show you what you have going on. So based on your lending, your borrowing, what kind of reward you're going to get if you have activated emissions to qualify for emissions, and the fees you would earn. So that's your dashboard. Manage will show you, again, what you have locked up. But over here, you can already see that this is how much has been locked up. This is the current global fees that are being paid over the next 7 days. And if you had anything locked up, which I will show you how to do, your share and the annual platform fees. And the rest will make a little more sense once we have a bit of activity going on there. And finally, buy. If you want to buy, it's no longer on SushiSwap at the moment. The pool will take you to Balancer. It is also where you would supply your liquidity if that's what you were doing. And the final screens are your DAO and again, if the migration, if you needed to migrate, if you had some RDNT and V1 and you wanted to migrate that across, here's you click this and it will show you the videos and you can follow that process and migrate it across. Great. So now you have a very quick overview of what all the pages are. So now the next step is I'm going to talk to you about emissions. To ensure I qualify for emissions, I need to add some liquidity, okay? And you need to add 5%. At the moment, I haven't done anything, so it's not giving me any figures. But had I actually added a little bit of money into the protocol, it would let me use this tool. So let's do that. I'm gonna take some DAI. I have 10 DAI here, and I'm gonna deposit it. But I already know, actually, I want to loop it. So I'll make my decision here, because if I deposit it and then I want to loop, I'll have to remove it and go remove what I deposited and come back to the loop function and start new. Something to keep in mind. You can't, if you've deposited like USDT 50 and then later on you get $1,000 and you think, okay, I want to loop this USDT, you'll have to remove the 50 and start it as a whole, add the 1,000 as a fresh batch, and then via the loop function, and then it'll do the loop in one transaction. So I've clicked on loop, I've gone to deposit, and I'll hit max and I'll do the 4 times loop. So this is where it does something a little bit different. The protocol is trying to ensure that you don't miss out on emissions. And to do that, it knows that you need to deposit a certain amount into the LP and lock it. So as you can see, looping it will automatically prompt you. Now, I don't want to do that. I don't want to supply money and have it borrow an asset and lock it up in a pool that I can't access in an event of a market downturn, etc., etc. But I want the emissions. I want to qualify for my emissions. So my approach to this is going to be, I'm going to actually lock up what I want to lock up in liquidity and earn those platform rewards, and then come and add what I need to the money market. And when I do it that way, as long as I have over the 5% locked up based on what I deposit, it will not do this aspect of it. It will not borrow any ETH. It will just do the looping as I want it to do. So great, I shall head over to clicking on markets, and right on the screen I want to zap into DLP, and let's take a look. I haven't deposited, but I know I'm going to put around $40 in, so 5% will be $5. Not a little bit lower than that, but yep, let's do that. Now, you can see it gives you the option to borrow or wallet. I'm going to use my wallet. Wallet is utilizing the funds in your wallet. Borrow is what I explained earlier. It would borrow off the money market. So wallet, and then I want to add RDNT. So I have a bit of RDNT here that I migrated across, and I'm going to utilize this. So what I'll do is I will put 20. We got excellent. This is great. I put $11 worth. I'm going to hit continue. And now I'm being presented with the option to pick. And what does this mean? What am I picking here? So this is to do with the fees I would earn on top of the emissions that you would earn in the money markets of the RDNT token. So by locking your DLP for longer, you're amplifying your APR. So if I were to pick 12 months here, I would get up to 225% APR in those fees. And that's where I showed you the asset breakdown, which was in BTC, USDT, ETH, etc., which all added up to that 200%. So this is how you're amplifying. So if I locked just for 1 month, I would get a much lower APR. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, I am just going to lock for 1 month and continue. So hit continue, zap into DLP, 1 click, approve, and your MetaMask will load up, confirm, and zap. Confirm again. Great, I am done. Now you can see, all of a sudden, I haven't supplied anything to the protocol, but you can see I am eligible for, and it's got a different APR because this APR is to do with the actual emissions of the RDNT token. So I'm now eligible and I have up to, it gives me a line. So now I'm going to loop my DAI. So let's take a look at the process now. If I click on DAI and we go to look at the 1-click loop, and I'm going to deposit, and I'm going to take my $10, and you see, so now I have bypassed the need for it to borrow anything from the money market and lock any of that ETH away. I'm going to click start looping, and again we'll go through. There's an approve, confirm, approve delegation, approve WE delegation, still cheaper than mainnet, and click 1 loop. There's a slight delay when you click, so just be patient. And there you go. You can see it's done. So I've deposited $39 and you can see I borrowed $29, and that's what it's done. It's looped. This is your health factor. Now this is something you always have to watch. It tells you you do not want to, you want to keep it above 1 at always, otherwise you get liquidated. This is something you need to keep in mind. You want to always be in a higher health factor to avoid liquidation. So that's done. Now, if I go back out and I click on dashboard, you can see now right away the difference here in the emissions. You can see now I am overqualified. And when you click on it, I've got 29% over. I just need to have 5, but I'm at 29 based on how much money I borrowed off the protocol. You can see I'm getting daily emissions based on how much I've supplied and borrowed. You know, the emissions are qualified for DAI. And I would qualify for daily protocol fees, which would probably give me a better indication under manage. And you can see my fees annually are 79 cents based off, and this is based on what I have locked, which is $11 that I've locked in liquidity. These fees get paid out on this. So I'll stop there, come back to market. So far I've given a rundown of how everything works. I've shown you how you can activate emissions. I made sure you're aware of what the protocol does by default, where it tries to borrow ETH and zap it into that LP for you to qualify. But if you didn't want to go down that route, you can do this yourself by, you know, if you had RDNT or ETH, you can buy, sell the percentages and then just zap it in automatically from your wallet totals. Once that's done, you can click on the looping feature. What's great about V2 is you can actually loop BTC or ETH as well this time, unlike in V1 that you couldn't do that. Coming back to your manage screen now, when you start to earn fees, you can claim all here and they just get added to the money markets, and then you can withdraw if you choose. Or the other aspect is the other screens over here. Now, once you start earning your RDNT, it will show up as ready to vest. When you click start vesting over here, what will happen is it will vest for a period of 90 days. It'll take up to 90 days, but it will slowly start to get released. And what will happen is you also have an exit early. So the longer you wait, like if you wait after 30 days, you'll get penalized less. So if you exit early, you have to pay a penalty, but rather than waiting the entire 90 days and on day 80, you pay like a 50% penalty. No, if you wait till day 80, then you'll only have like a 10% penalty, etc. It scales automatically based on the amount of time you've waited. So that the other aspect is the bounties section. So you can see here, when I look at what we locked up already, that I had locked up, it's locked up for 29 days, and I'm getting my emissions. Now, say I haven't claimed my emissions and my DLP locks, what will happen is straight away a bounty will get available. Anyone who sees this can claim it and take my potential RDNT rewards that I had ready waiting for me to start vesting. So it's just a small gamification to encourage users to either lock for longer, or ensure that they're relocking before it unlocks so that they don't miss out on any of their RDNT emissions. Now, obviously, because I've just used this, there's nothing going on, and I've used such small amounts, it's not showing me much. But if you were a substantial user getting in there and you had a ton, 30 to 40,000 right away, as soon as you start using it, you will see RDNT emissions coming up, and your fees will start to add up straight away as well. Okay, so I've showed you how you can maximize your yield on Radiant V2. But the other part of Radiant that makes it so unique is it is an omni-chain money market. This basically allows you to deposit assets on one chain and borrow them on another. Deposit on Arbitrum, borrow them on Polygon. Deposit on Arbitrum, borrow it on Binance Smart Chain. And as this technology evolves, more of this functionality will keep getting enabled. So let's take a look right now how you can, after you've deposited some funds, borrow some assets on another chain. Let's see how simple this is to do. Okay, so I'm going to click on, head down here, and we'll look at USDC. And I'm going to allow borrow, but if I click on the loop tab over here, what you can see happens is I have one click looping over here, or I can borrow an asset. Now, I have, because I already did some looping, in this case, what I'd do is I'd add more to the deposit side, maybe ETH, and then say I wanted to take a loan on Polygon, I could come to this screen, borrow. It would tell me what my allowed limit is, but in this case, yeah, I wouldn't borrow right up to it. So let's just say I'll take 15 cents. I should add more liquidity here, but just for the sake of this. And I have the option of picking Arbitrum, or I can pick all these other chains. And now what happens here, it's as simple as picking Polygon, and I will say 15 cents, and I'll hit continue. And I'll run through these, approve, confirm, approve delegation, confirm, and then I'll click borrow. So once the transfer is done, because I've sent it to Polygon, I'll go and I'll switch it to Polygon. Here's my Polygon wallet. I'll try to refresh the list. If this doesn't work, let's go and add the USDC token. I've got it up here on Polygon. I've gone to the Polygon scan, and let's import custom token. As soon as you add it, it should pull it in. Add custom token. There you go. As soon as I hit import, it's there. So while MetaMask didn't originally pick it up, you can see once you find the contract address of USDC, add it there. This is the money I basically borrowed on Arbitrum, and it supplied it to me, gave it to me in my wallet on Polygon, and now I can go and buy an NFT or whatever I want to do on Polygon. But that is essentially one of the amazing functionalities that Radiant offers, and V2 enables further integration of this tech, which is great to see. So I hope this has helped. As I used the protocol, these were the things I came across and made me do double takes, as in how would this work? What does this mean? Is this what I really want? So I've taken the approach to try and shed light to these pieces. Overall, the protocol is a lot better. They made a ton of strides in V2, made things really simple. They've tried to keep this view of making sure the user doesn't disqualify for emissions, because while they use the platform, And that's great, but I as a user have found I want to know what I'm locking up, and I don't want to be in debt to anything, any smart contract, when I am going chasing yield. And I don't, and in case of market volatility, I want to be able to access my funds that I need. So I like to plan that this is what I want to have locked up, and I don't have to worry about it no matter what happens with market volatility, because I'm doing it for my reasons, the yield, and then use the markets the way I want. So I've gone about this tutorial making sure everyone understands exactly what the protocol does and how you can use it to your advantage, or make sure you're using it to the way you have planned. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.